Hello, everyone, and welcome to Discussing Trek. We are here to review the eighth episode of the fifth and final season of Star Trek Discovery, Labyrinths. Like always, I'm your host, Clarence, and I'm joined by my fellow co hosts slash Trekkies, starting with none other than Larry Irby. Larry, how you doing, man? Larry, how you doing, man? You might be muted. All right, well, while Larry works
Doing
out some.
great.
How you doing, man?
Hanging in there.
All right, man. Glad to have you, of course. And also on the panel today, of course, we have Mr. Jones. How you doing, Mr. Jones?
I'm doing good. So you know what Larry was actually doing, right? He was giving us a live demonstration of what communications were like after the burn or during the burn because it took
That's right.
so much down that communications took that much of a delay. That's what he was showing.
Yeah, or it could be just my internet sometimes when I'm out in the country. So you take your pick. You take
Either way. But yeah, I'm glad to be here as always. And I'm interested to find out what you guys think about this episode.
Hmm. Yeah. I think we're going to have a fun discussion here. Very much an episode where they kind of up the ante. The money is on the screen. We'll get into all of that. I'm not so sure about the whole mindscape thing. It was a little underwhelming to me, but I'll table that until we get into the details. I'll just mention real quick in the chat we have Win Grace, we have Tasha, and of course you can follow those guys at the Win Grace Project. And after the Snap Movies and TV, if you want to follow those guys on the YouTubes, some great channels, you definitely should follow them. But guys, if nothing else, you ready to go ahead and get into this review?
Indeed,
Yep.
indeed.
Let's do it. And of course, we're here to talk about Labyrinths, the eighth episode of Star Trek Discovery Season 5, when Captain Burnham is trapped within a mindscape designed to test her worthiness to retrieve the Progenitor's powerful technology. Book, Rayner, and the crew of the U.S.S. Discovery must hold off the Breen long enough for her to escape. And Mr. Jones, if you would give us that spoiler warning, sir.
Alrighty. So for everyone listening, if you have not seen this episode, put us on pause, go out, watch the episode, come back, because from this moment forward, spoilers.
The spoiler warning has been dropped, and as always, we are back to review this episode, and we go right back to Mr. Jones for the beats of the episode. Sometimes serious, sometimes comedic. Quite honestly, you never know, Mr. Jones, what do you have for us today, sir?
Any thoughts before I go on what it's going to be?
I think it might be a little comedic. I'm
All right.
pulling for
Larry, what do
comedic
you
today.
say? Comedic or serious?
I think comedic.
All right. So, Clarence, I have one question before because I kind of gave you a hint before we went live, and I said it's something that I like to say a variation. Any thoughts?
I have no idea what you're gonna do
All
to
right.
us
So here
here.
we go. Michael Burnham is in the library. In a moment, Michael Burnham will be saved.
Uh,
I had
So,
to go there.
of course,
When I saw that they were going to an archive and that she was in the archive, I was like,
of
there's
course you did.
no way I can't say Michael Burnham is in the library. Michael Burnham will be saved.
Yes, that is one of your favorite sayings, Doctor Who sayings. There's one of your favorite sayings in general. You do say that a
Yes,
lot, so I
indeed.
should have
I
saw that
mean,
coming.
you have to give Kyle a break because, it literally is one of the greatest episodes of Doctor Who
Thank you.
ever.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's debatable.
Well, no, that's not. Not
But
So-
alas, we're here to talk about Star Trek, right?
Indeed. So that's why I said Michael Burnham. That's why I specifically said Michael Burnham
Michael
instead of
Burnham.
saying Donna Noble has left the library. Donna Noble has been
Has
saved.
been
I didn't
saved.
say that. I said Michael Burnham. Just
Okay.
saying.
Okay. All right. Larry, what are your high level thoughts of this episode, sir? Labyrinths.
I actually really enjoyed this episode a lot. I have some critiques. They're not gripes. One, I think Kyle from last week, there's one he and I are going to agree on, but we'll get to that later.
Hmm.
Because it kind of switched my. Kyle was one way about it last week. Now I feel the same way this week.
Okay.
Interesting. Mr. Jones, any additional thoughts for us?
So I think maybe Clarence that I may have liked what you didn't like this episode. I did like Michael Burnham. No pun intended. I did like the sequence of her in the mindscape with Book, and then the things that get worked out in that. That actually was my favorite part of this episode.
Interesting. Interesting. For me, I just love kind of the majesty of it all. The bombastic view that we kind of get
Mhm.
of the Breen, or at least how they're trying to make them out to be in this episode. So I really love that, and we'll get into the details. But also, uh, when you get into Reese actually taking command of Discovery, I love that. I love how we portrayed the Badlands in this episode, and
Oh,
there's a
yeah.
lot of great things. A lot of great things. I think the money's on the screen, but we're going to get into all that. So let's just start off with talking about the brain. Um, for me, it felt like since we're in this far future, it seems like they took everything they were trying to do with the Klingons in season one and said, "Oh, let's just do it on this race of people that nobody knows much about. We can like amp them up, make them majestic." And to me, they have uh, everything that we saw on screen with them from this. I'm guessing this was a view inside that big dreadnought ship
Mhm.
of Maul and the Primarch. I just thought all of that just looked beautiful. And again, I said it. This is my third time saying it. They put some money into this episode. What did you guys think of how majestic they attempted to make the brain in this episode? Cal.
Mm. So my counter to that is, and again, I have to give them a little bit of leeway here because when they were recording, they did not know this was the fifth season, final season, etc. That being said, I wonder if the majesticness of this episode and some of the special effects come at a price, and that is the price of we get a, for the most part, a brand new bridge crew. And I know we brought this up time after time after time, but that is
Yeah.
my one sticking point throughout because no offense to those actors who are on the set doing an awesome job
Yeah.
in their characters. I don't know them. And I want to say goodbye to the characters that I've watched for 5 seasons, not people that I've just now met.
Mm.
Larry, are we spending too much money on the Breen? Should we have brought back our principal or our guest characters from the previous seasons to kind of reprise some of their roles? What are your thoughts on kind of the meta money issues here?
Okay. My thing with this is I loved the Breen. I loved the world building they're doing for the Breen. Like to me personally, their whole thing didn't remind me of anybody else. It reminded me, I was like, wow, they're really doing a great job in building this universe of this species, their culture. They're really going out. Now, as far as people not being back, I have like a feeling like I don't know why. I just have a feeling you're gonna see O and Detmer and them show up on their own ship,
You,
coming in. I
I,
just feel it.
Mm,
I kind of thought that in this episode. I'm like, it's just too. They've too consistently not had them on the last few episodes. So I was thinking, are they going to bring the ISS Enterprise back in some form to help,
Or maybe they got their own ship.
or maybe they will have their own ship? But yeah, it does seem like excuse me, they're going to be riding back in like the cavalry
that,
at
yeah.
some point. And if that's what they're doing, I'm here for it.
Mm.
But
And
there's
again, in their defense, if you're looking at it from the story, they're writing this story not with the inception of this is our final story. So, from just a story point overall, that's brilliant. That's a very
mm,
good thing to do. Let them come back in and be the
Mhm.
cavalry.
I was gonna say something, but you asked me about the Breen. I will say something that Kyle Jones said the other week, and I have to agree with him. Oh my God, the Primarch is such a mustache twirling
Yes.
villain.
Yes.
He's so my God. I didn't mind it at first, and I know Kyle hated it, But I was like, oh, I can take it. But then when you get to the point where he's just like, oh, they've given us what we want. Yo,
Now
I'm gonna
let's
kill
kill
him anyway.
everybody.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill him anyway. It's like, okay, now I'm a bad guy. The most compelling bad guys we know in the history of cinema are the bad guys who don't know they're bad.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
they know they're doing questionable things, but they think they're doing them for the right reasons. This guy is just like a jerk.
Yeah, there was no reason for him to continue to try to destroy the eternal gallery and archive. He was just being a jerk. He was being he was twirling the mustache,
And,
as you
and I blame the
said.
writing on that one. That was my only real gripe, and that's why I was gonna do. Because like, come on, guys, I've seen you write better. Osira
Yeah.
was a way better villain
Yes, and I did not
than
like
this.
her. And even the guy that came, well, he was in the same season, wasn't? Yeah, as Osira, the guy that, oh, was that last season that stole the technology?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
That
about.
was
Yeah.
last season.
Yeah, okay, he was better than that, and I hated him.
Yeah.
See,
But we talk about cliches, we talk about the writing. Honestly, and let's just take the Breen part of this to its logical conclusion. I felt the same way about the whole cyan discussion and Maul. I saw the Maul thing a mile away. From the moment she said, "Take me with you," I knew that we were going here. And of course, we get to this Chronicle Iridic esque moment to where she's kind of turns around and she's in charge. I'm like, this is not surprising to me. I saw this coming. Was it just me? The writing on the wall was for that one, right? We all saw
Ye-
that happening.
I think so, but I have a question before we move on from this set of characters. And I watched it twice, and I got this same feeling both times. And I may be reading this so wrong, and I may be so out in left field. I don't think Locke is dead. I don't know that much about their physiology or what's going on, but there was just a little bit of familiarity that she kept looking at this one soldier that was she
Hmm.
referred to several times, and it was just
hmm
too familiar.
Yeah, that soldier had a
you're not
name.
wrong.
You
I
know,
didn't
There
write the
was
name
something
down.
like either it's a direct family member of him,
right?
like maybe he's the firstborn, and maybe this person is a sibling or something. I don't know, but yeah, there definitely was something between
And it was
them.
kind of like the way she was because obviously you couldn't see whoever the actor was, you couldn't see their face, so it was all based on her facial expressions and eye contact and looking, but it kept making me feel like you're very familiar and comfortable that this person would, if he tries to kill you, would kill on your behalf. That's just how I read it.
Yeah, honestly, for me, I just read it as they are setting this character up to be compassionate to Maul's cause. There could be more there. We could, take back the mask and see that it's somebody that we know. But I just kind of felt like it was that it was they were just trying to make that character sympathetic to
Yeah.
Maul's cause. Now, hey, speaking of Oo and Detmer, it could be that we might pop up and find out they're on some secret mission and they've already infiltrated the Breen, and that's just going out on a wild limb here. It could be them underneath the mask. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. True.
All righty, let's move on a little bit. Well, let's pick up some comments here first. Retney's in the chat. Hey, Retney, glad to have you here. And Wingers is saying, I like the content of the Mindscape, but I don't think they did enough to make it feel enough. Like they were in a non-physical or weird realm. Yeah, I don't know. I think I kind of like the library aspect of this, or the gallery. And was it Marge in Tasha's Discord that was telling us she was familiar with this place they shot this?
Yeah, I think
Uh,
it's in somewhere in Manitoba or Toronto or somewhere in Canada.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not sh-
go
I'm
ahead. Go
not
ahead.
sure. Let's see. I was thinking about the mindscape. I was reading Room Grace
Oh
comment.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I, Cal, you know this about me. I hate it when we're in an episode and we're in someone's mind the
Hmm.
entire time.
Yes.
So this episode was set up for me to hate from the beginning. But I don't think it was that bad. I just feel like the journey through the mindscape or this labyrinth was not all that revealing. And we'll get into some of that definitely. Let me pick up Win Grace's other comment saying that see when that guy spoke, he sounded like book, which of course doesn't track, but I also like the idea that it was a sneaky non. Huh.
Mm,
It could be non. Yeah,
that's
I like that.
interesting.
I like that. I can see that happening.
That would be a good twist at the end. Yeah, I like that.
Oh, we don't like twist at the end, Cal. No
No,
twist at the end. Yeah, but I just feel like the whole mall rising to lead the Breen or this actual section of the Breen was just too cliche to me. I think it had to happen,
See,
but I
I
didn't
didn't
love it.
I didn't feel that way. I got to be honest. I felt like like they are not following her. They are following her because she showed more reverence for. I mean, she was in love with him, but she showed more reverence for their traditions than the actual leader did. And I think
Yeah,
they're like, okay, she's an alien, she's an outsider to us, but she honors our customs and she honors our scion. So we're going to roll with her over the Primarch, who we really know only cares about
yeah,
himself. That's how
mm,
I felt. I felt like, she's still just there. She's not part of the Breen, but
I agree with you 100% in the context of what you just said. But I would like to add, in my opinion, to that is that kind of reminds me of the trope in any story where you're only needed until you're expendable.
yeah,
And so,
mhm,
she may be showing she may have reverence for their scion, etc., and so forth. But when they get ready to name who's the next head person, it's not going to be her.
no.
You know, I mean, she may wheel and deal another deal, but it's not going to be her.
yeah. Um, let's talk about the Badlands. I loved how they realized the Badlands in this episode. Of course, us Voyager stands will most notably think of the Badlands when we think of how or what led to the Voyager being stranded in the Delta Quadrant. We've
Right.
seen it in other instances as well with the Maquis. But Larry, how did you like the portrayal of the Badlands in this episode?
Loved it. Thought it was absolute. I think that the people who, of course, were in charge of Voyager back in the day, a lot of them, if they saw this episode, they was like, man,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted to do, but we didn't have the technology or the money. Yeah, it looked like I went back and looked at the Voyager episode with the Badlands, and it was just like, uh,
It's
I
kind of
mean,
rough.
I mean, but what are we talking about here? We're talking about over 25 years of technology
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
too. But I loved it. I got one more gripe though, and I'm gonna just throw it out there with the Badlands because it's where it happened. Does anybody else? It might have been Wing Grace that said it. Does anybody know that they got like three little flame things on the bridge of Discovery? Like when they're
Yeah.
going through, there's one over here, there's one directly out, and there's one there. And when they're going through the turbulence, all of a sudden sparks start flying, and you see those things go. And I was like, "What is this? A bridge or a concert?" I mean,
That's the plasma conduits blowing, and then the fire shoots through
okay,
the.
900 years, the plasma conduits haven't got any better. I mean, Jesus, they were blowing on Archer and them. They blew up on Kirk, on Picard. What
Uh,
did they ever blow up on Picard and
so
them?
all I'm going to say is, just because they're 900 years ahead doesn't mean technology went that far. Because in the 1940s, they thought by the 1980s, people would be driving around in flying cars. And well, here we are,
That's true.
so many years past the 80s, 40 whatever's past the 80s, and we're not flying cars yet.
I know we
Fair
haven't
enough.
been to Saturn, and we were already supposed to have that guy who got beamed up. His son supposed to be led the group to Saturn in the 90s. And maybe
Yeah.
it was covert. We'll keep it canon. It was covert.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'll pick up Wayne Grace's comment saying it's just a flamethrower. So, it's just a flamethrower. Yeah, yeah. But I loved it. I love that when we're going through the Badlands, you actually see how it affects the ship, and it takes us right back to Voyager. And we had a great moment where they kind of had to just trust Hyrel to cut the engines and coast. And man, we get to this beautiful shot, the shot we got in the very first trailer of Discovery, just breaking through the Badlands, and we're coming right upon the Eternal Gallery. It looked freaking phenomenal.
Oh my
So yeah, just
gosh.
just another case of how great some of the computer graphics were in this
Agreed.
Hmm.
episode. Let's talk about Hyrel a little bit and the Eternal Gallery and Archive. There was a certain amount of cheekiness in this episode with Hyrel and some of the jokes, some of the uh, almost. I don't know if she was trying to be funny, but some of the comments she was making about death and dismemberment and things like that. I thought they managed to leverage a good amount of comedic moments in this episode, which made it fun for me. What did you guys think about Harrell or either the comedic moments in this episode, or was there anything that jumped out at you about her or those
Okay,
moments?
two things. Number one of the comments that she made to Book, basically asking, I think something like, "Is that your real name?" Oh, I've actually got a book, somebody's name Book coming to a book or for a
Yeah.
book. That whatever that joke was just funny. Even though I can't remember exactly what it was funny. But I loved seeing a happy, bubbly Klingon. I mean,
Wait.
there was
She she
wasn't she Klingon?
no, she was Ed. Wow. When Grace knows,
I
put
know
it
the
put
one.
it in the
Yeah.
chat. When Grace, she was not Klingon.
Okay, I thought she was Klingon.
I thought she
Well,
was too at first. I thought she was like a race from Enterprise as well, like the human Zindi, the humanoid Zindi. That's what I thought she was at first, but she's some other race that was in the president of
Yes.
Ifrogen.
My
Ephrogen.
man, Kirkwood Smith.
Okay, well, regardless of what she was, she looked Klingon to me, and it was in
She
my
did.
head canon she was Klingon, and I was thinking, a bubbly, infectious Klingon, that is so freaking cool. So, based on my assumption of the episode, I thought she was bubbly and cool, and I liked the character.
Yeah, yeah. I thought her reel was fun. Thoughts, Larry, on the character?
Loved it. Got a little trivia for you, though, if you
Dum,
can
dum,
answer it.
dum.
Now, she's the same race as the president, played by the legendary Kirkwood Smith. Where did we first see that race for the very first time?
Was it Kirkwood Smith or was it some other?
It was some other.
Okay, I don't know. I know which movie he was in, but I don't know
In
what
Star
other.
Trek.
Mhm. Star Trek, The Voyage Home, my friend.
Really?
Mag Sinclair, who was the captain of that ship that was stranded, her comms officer was the same race. That's the first time we ever
Mm,
saw that species.
nice,
Yep.
nice. I keep wanting to
Man.
say Afrosion, but it's Afrosion. Are we running out of names here, people? I mean,
I knew Kyle for 100%. I knew Kyle was gonna love that joke. I said
About the
as
book.
soon as, yeah, I said, "Oh, that is right up his alley, right
It
there."
indeed was. So yeah. And even though I, called her the wrong species, it still does not diminish the fact that the character was infectious and likable, and I would like to see the character again.
Very much. I enjoyed it. I thought Who was? Do we know who the actress was that played that role? I'm not sure,
I do not, but I can look it up.
but I think I got it. High rail.
But yeah, just to add in my 2 cents here, I thought the character was fun, lighthearted, and was a great comedic take for this episode. There was another great comedic moment I'm gonna get to later, but it was a huge Voyager, yet another Voyager shout out that I wonder if you guys got. But we'll get into that later. And once we get to the archive, once again we have the duo that I've often complained about, but lo and behold, we got them back together, and I loved it. We have Book and Burnham going on this away mission. Um, I'm hearing some background noise from somebody, but Book and Burnham on this away mission. Uh, Thoughts on kind of the tension between Book and Burnham? They obviously have some unresolved issues, and for me, and let me know if you guys thought this as well. It felt like that the whole mindscape thing was just a way of them resolving their issues. So we're probably going to have a different relationship for these guys going forward. Maybe something more akin to what it was in the previous seasons. Did the mindscape seem like a catharsis for Burnham as far as how she feels about Book to you, Kyle?
Not really, because I knew that wasn't him. And
Hmm.
that was where my comment of "in a moment" comes from, and another Doctor Who reference. I saw that was similar to how in the 50th we see a character return as the moment, and it was, not really that character. I saw Book as, so I think she knew all along that that wasn't him. Now, does that mm, epiphany she had, if you want to call it that, self introspection, apply to him? Maybe, but I never saw it as a communication between him and her, because she knew that wasn't him.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I get that. I don't know if I really saw it as communication. I saw it more of her coming to realization of how she really feels about them. We got a hint of that in the Time Book episode
Mm-hmm.
where she meets him at a different time, and they're in a good state, and she kind of reminisces on the relationship they had. But I don't know. There was so much about Burnham's revelation to know oneself as part of this
Oh,
next test that really kind of really some really that I didn't quite understand
well,
because well go ahead and
no, no,
let
no,
me
no.
come
I'm
back.
just saying, Tasha and I always seem to agree. And I love this comment. She said she had to admit how she felt about herself to come to terms about why
Mm,
she sabotages the relationship.
wow. So we think she sabotaged it. Now, let's be honest. Book sabotaged it
True,
some as well,
true.
but yeah, because we get all these notions from her about failure, about failing and not being enough, how that makes her feel small and weak. And I don't to Tasha's point, it seems like they're trying to relate it back to Book's relationship with her relationship with Book, but I don't know if all the dots connected firmly with me
Hmm.
because really, and I may have heard somebody else talking about this, or I may have seen an article title or something. But if this is really about her knowing herself to move forward, to know how she can handle the progenitor tech, didn't we kind of have that in a way where in the time book episode where she saw her younger self, it let her know how far she's changed over
Mm.
the years. So to me, that was kind of a reflection as well. But it's kind of we're doing it just a little bit differently here. So I'm kind of confused
All
on
right.
some of
Well, let
the.
me, before Larry jumps in, let me say this real quick. What if the intent of this journey, of this puzzle that they are going through, is sequential? And I hate algebra, but algebra is all about building
Okay.
upon, the first and the second
Mm.
and the third. Maybe this self discovery that, no pun intended, that she had about herself came because all of these different tests are building upon one another. So maybe she needed to see Book in a different time and have that realization about what she used to feel about him to to add to getting her to the place where she's now looking at herself. So maybe if you look at it as a whole,
Mm.
maybe that makes it a little bit more. What do you think, Larry?
Well, let me.
Okay.
I'm going to give Larry the same question, but I want to add: do we think all of the previous tests, and Cal, you kind of made me think about this. Do we think all of the previous tests, that we've had over the course of this journey, do we think all of them will come back in the last episode when we finally get to the progenitors tech? Or it's just something that we've picked up along the way and we have to remember this stuff going forward? Or they prove the worthy at each part of the test to get the next piece of the puzzle?
I mean,
Because I could,
I think it's sequential. I mean, if you don't get the first part, you don't get the second.
yeah, I don't know if I'm thinking of some big crescendo where we're going through each of the tests to. I don't know why I'm thinking of it that way, but it would be interesting if it was. I don't know. Maybe I'm going off on a limb there. Go ahead, Larry. I'm sorry. I'm sidetracking
Uh,
us here.
I think that I think you're gonna basically see one thing I'll say about Michael. I feel like we've had so many moments of reflection with her that it's kind of getting like, okay, didn't we already go through this? Didn't you
Yeah,
already move past, this before, and everything? But Sonique was so great, so I enjoyed, and I just thought it was overall very good.
Let me add this to kind of counter, but not disagree with that. I do agree with what you said, but for some reason it feels different this season. I think in the previous season, yes, everything it was like, especially the first couple of seasons, everything revolved around her. Especially the first season, everything was all, and even the second was all about her. I don't feel like she's the center of attention
yeah,
anymore. Clarence, I think you said maybe last week or the week before that she was there and she helped move the story along, but she wasn't the central focus. And even though she had a bigger play this time, I still didn't feel like it was all about her.
yeah. Oh, I have to pick up P. Lewis's comment. And welcome to the chat, P. Lewis. Talking about, I think it was cathartic for Sonequa, the actor, Sonequa Martin Green, when she talks about having to always prove herself and not wanting to fail. And Tasha seconds that notion. That's something that I had never even thought about as it relates to this episode, because we know that having the franchise on her back has been like a huge pressure for Sonequa Martin Green. And if you think of it in that context, that she's talking directly to the fans out there, she's has the fear of failing in this franchise, and I can definitely see that being more of a meta um, conversation that
I
she's having
also
there.
felt that. I felt like she was, in a way, when she gets to that one part, I felt like she was talking directly to the people. Like, do I deserve this? Do I deserve this? Can I carry this weight? That I always have to make sure that I have to prove that I
Yep.
deserve to be here. And
Mm.
yeah, I thought that was definitely a little reality sneaking into the show.
And even if it wasn't a reality, sneaking in the show, the if that as an if she as an actor used that, and I guess that's the same thing as what you guys are saying, because her intent would still be, but what a good way to have that duality of concept to help portray that moment, which I think is cool.
Yeah, we know that Star Trek it always has these messages that are about the greater world. I need to go back and compile a list of all of the lessons we've learned on this journey. And I bet once we put them all together, it's going to be a really cool little message to I said not necessarily live by, but a good message for being a good citizen, I guess, or being a good person on this earth. So definitely have to go back and compile that list. Pick up a comment here from Johnny Fitzhugh saying that part of Burnham was stuck in the closet when she was a child, thinking she failed her parents by not stopping the Klingons. Maybe she is learning it's okay to open the closet door. Woo! All right, all right, Johnny. Yes, yes. Yeah, you got to look at the totality of what's happened to Burnham over these years, losing her parents, and then the pressure of being with Sarek and the Vulcan Learning Institute and coming to Starfleet. She has had a pressure filled existence, and when you really think about it, the one time she failed ginormously, and she's been kind of trying to claw back from that ever since. And she's obviously after you failed as epically as she has, there's going to be a huge fear of failing again. So yeah, I definitely see that with the character as well.
And I'm sure that there are going to be many that'll disagree with what I'm about to say. But if you look at her tenure as captain in the series, I would go so far to say it maybe with Cisco only coming in as a close second to what I'm about to say. But as far as the lead quote unquote captain role of the series, I think she will have had, if you just look at the series, no movies and whatnot, but if you just look at the initial series, she will have the biggest character arc of growth of any captain in a Star Trek series, in my opinion.
Yeah, oh yeah, I definitely think she ranks up there. I think Cisco was a close second just because he had to go on that whole religious
Hmm.
journey. But yeah, I think if the goal was to, and we know that that was the goal, to have this character hit bottom and progress to captainship, and now she's being seeing the pressure of being a captain and the pressure of failing once she's finally reached this peak. Yeah, definitely a amazing journey for the character, and it seems like we're being kind of retrospective now that the series is we're on episode 8, man. Only a few
But
episodes
that's sort
left.
of like the labyrinth of the mind. That's what we're doing. We're it's metaing into our conversation.
Yes, yes, indeed, yes, indeed. And then we have yet another comment. Excuse me. The original C Neil Az. I wish she had mentioned her role as a sister too. Interesting. Feeling she failed her little brother. Yes, yes. Great point there. It takes me back to again. Well, it takes me back to the ISS Enterprise episode where she mentions the Terran Spock, and then we get the revelation that the Spock actually did good. So yeah, she could have mentioned her brother there. That would have been a pretty cool mention if she would have. And Tasha saying here that Burnham and Cisco were the only captains promoted during their run. They had to prove themselves to get to the chair, to get the chair. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Let's move along on this episode just a little bit more. Chaos outside the mindscape. I just thought the brain tech, this tunneling, this shield tunneling tech was pretty freaking cool. But I'll get extra cow. There was a moment between Stamets and Adira that reminded me so much of a Voyager moment. Did that come out to you as being as such, or
All right,
did
so
you?
help me out here because it's been a while since I've seen Voyager. As much as I love it, so help me out here.
There's an episode. I think it's Parallax, where Janeway and B'Elanna are trying to figure out something, just like Adira and Stamets are trying to figure it out, and they use the phrase "warp particles." They say it in unison. So
Hmm.
this Stamets Adira moment very much mirrored that to me, and I thought that was like a direct Voyager shout out right there. I thought it was
I
amazing.
like that, and interesting that they're in the Badlands and they're doing
Yep.
a Voyager shout out. That's cool. What I liked about that is I'm again we're feeling retrospective here about what I'm about to say, but I really liked the interaction with the three of them, meaning add in Reno to that.
Yeah.
I just like that. It's less banter that she has because for seasons past, her and my brain is falling flat for a moment. Stamets, her and
Hmm.
Stamets had more of a snarky relationship. They seem to have less snark back and forth and more of a mutual respect.
Yes. Yes. I no man, we need more Reno in our life because she's amazing.
But you know what I liked about that? I got to be honest. I like that these people know each other, so you're not gonna get as much of the snarkiness or the going back because they know each other and I don't know if they're friends, but they definitely have a nice working relationship,
Yes.
you know.
Indeed.
And I liked how you could see that they're not making like every time Reno and Stamets are in the same room, they're firing back and forth. It's like no, they respect each other. They've worked together.
Yeah, they definitely had a synergy going, and I thought it was amazing. Now, when Grace mentions there was a Neelix connection in this episode, uh, I didn't get that. Was that something that Reno said? If I'm remembering, when Grace help us out in the chat, the Neelix connection, because I think I missed it, but it may have been Reno, but just let us know. Let us know. Uh,
Nobody called anybody Mr. Vulcan or Mrs. Somebody or anything. So,
Nobody tried to cook a very
I
bad
would
dish in
love
the
to
mess
see
hall.
them introduce. I know it's the last season, so I doubt that's going to happen. But in Starfleet Academy, I would love to see them introduce some Kazon and
Talaxians.
Talaxians, and because I mean, let's Herodians, because we all know
Oh yeah.
that by this time, pretty much the whole galaxy is open to you.
and to your point, if you look at it, and I know they're not they're on Navarre and they're different. They're not called Vulcans anymore, correct? Because that
Navarrians.
yeah,
Yeah.
Navarrians, but for the most part, Star Trek has Vulcans, Romulans, and uh, Klingon. Sort of like Doctor Who has Daleks, Cybermen.
Yeah, like the main bads, I
Yeah, the
guess.
main bads
Right.
are the main other or whatever.
Or other, yeah. Um, let's see. When Grace is saying that Hyrel said one of the things that the Betazoid was studying was Talaxian hairstyles. Okay. Oh, I
Oh,
missed
that's
that.
cool.
Yeah, which is there really Talaxian hairstyles? It's just like a little spike and a little curl at the top. That's pretty much all Neelix and his other the other Talaxians we saw that Voyager had. So
You still void your bone because I will swear, for as much comedy relief as Neelix was, when they really did a hard hitting episode with him, like when he had PTSD,
yes,
they did an amazing job.
yes, and he had
I
to help
think
the
in many ways
scientists
he
that
may have been a comedic relief, but he was also in many ways the heart of the
yeah,
story.
he's the
Yeah.
morale
Yeah.
officer. uh, so we know Book gets shot, and we have this kind of this showdown on the archive where the Breen, excuse me, I almost said Orion. The Breens finally break in, and for the most part, I thought all of that was real well done and well shot. It was cool seeing Book and Rayner kind of work together to try to fend off the
Mhm.
Breen as Burnham lay there still unconscious on the ground. Uh, but ultimately, I thought all this was fun. I thought it was really cool to see Reese kind of taking command of Discovery,
It was
going to hide in
sweet.
the Badlands and coming back. I thought Reese was amazing because I mentioned on last episode, like, Where's Reese? He's nowhere to be found. So it was great to see him back and see him.
He was
Uh,
killing it.
yes, yes, pretty freaking awesome, man. So I really love that. As we kind of wrap here, any other takeaways from this episode that I may have missed or anyone in the chat want to discuss as we kind of wind down here? Larry, do you have anything about the episode that you want to bring up that I may have missed?
Let's see. The only thing I think we already talked about it, but like I said, I just love the world building. I like it when they teach us about the culture of a new race or a race that we already know and we don't know. I mean, they did that for us in Next Gen. They did that for the Romulans, where they
Yeah.
really built up about the culture. And then, of course, in some ways, Enterprise did a lot for Vulcans
Yes,
to
they
let you
did.
truly understand there's not just one thought on Vulcan at that time. There's multiple, when you had the people who wanted to keep the secret and the people. So I really appreciate them on Discovery doing that, and they did it in such an amazing way.
Yeah, the world building with the Breen is amazing. The whole Primarch stuff and the different factions and the Scion. Great job there. Hats off to everything they're doing there with the Breen. But I still, we know the show is about the end, but man, I want to come back to the Klingons at least once before we end the show. We probably won't at this point, but I feel like it's sorely missing.
I think the whole Klingon thing broke Discovery. I think the Klingons were so badly received.
Yeah,
I think they are purposely steering clear of the Klingons. I don't think they need to, though.
Mm.
yeah,
I mean, I really don't. I think we've tweaked characters over the years and everything, and they've already made them look like they normally look on Strange New Worlds, and they're
yep,
from that timeline.
yep.
I would just write it off as what? No, they always look that way. But you made
I
them look like that? No, they never looked like that.
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some type of montage at the end, kind of like an introspective, and it may come in the form of the technology that she accessed, where it kind of takes you as a retrospective through Discovery's adventures or whatnot. Just kind of I'm seeing something just I don't know, just glimpses that she will see or something, and just to kind of give a nod to where they've come over the last 5 seasons.
Yeah, for sure.
It'd be nice.
Kyle, did you have any other takeaways from this episode,
And
sir?
I think you have done an excellent job, as always, of covering the story.
All right, I'm gonna pick up a few comments I had pinned. Wingray saying that, oh God, what if she's pregnant? I think he's talking about Maul here. Yes, yes, I think that's a good possibility. I think that might happen. What do you guys think? Maul being pregnant, if that's even possible. We think that would be a good direction for this season 10.
Not really.
But
Come
we
on,
know, I
man.
mean,
Uh,
we know she has to, or they have to get the technology. Otherwise, how are you going to have the finale? You have to have
but
a showdown at the end.
yeah, and the only reason I say that because it would be so cliche. It's like, how do we even know that not every humanoid species can reproduce together? That was like, well, they can have babies, and they can have babies.
Well,
Everybody can have
it's
babies.
because of the progenitors that were so similar. So it kind of plays into
This
the
is
whole
true.
story, right?
That's true. I mean,
Uh,
it wouldn't be the worst thing, but I would rather them. I'd rather see them bring Locke back.
So, what were the progenitors making again?
is
People,
this is it?
People, but they didn't start out as people, right? They were young, right?
yeah.
So they were making space babies.
Oh God!
Oh
Somebody
God.
shoot me! The podcast is over.
Yeah. Seriously though, I said they were the founders.
Yeah.
Yep,
So
there you go.
Tasha mentions that Reno mentioned the Hesperians also. Is that oh, what's the lower decks
Lower
character?
decks
Um
from the guy Billups.
Billups. Yeah, that's Billups race of people. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, cool. All right, Reno. Reno knows everything, man. And I love that when Grace's comment here saying that we just need Captain Reese of his beloved refit ISS Enterprise at the end. Yes,
I
give him a refit Enterprise. I'll take it.
forgot to bring this up. Okay. That was the ISS Enterprise, right?
Yes.
When do we know when do we think it's from? It's from after Spock took over? Because in
Yes.
non-canon, Spock took over the entire empire. It's a great read. Shattered Universe, Shattered Mirror. You
W-
should buy it.
w-
Awesome book. But here's the thing. You know what was on the Enterprise they could have done? They didn't do? The Tatless Field.
Help me
Remember
out
the
here.
mirror? Press it
I do
and
not even
kill
remember that.
people?
What?
You don't remember
I
in
don't
Mirror
remember that at
Mirror,
all.
in Mirror Mirror,
The-
when Kirk, my favorite episode of all time, where Kirk would go to the quarters, right? And the other lady said, "You want me to activate the field?" And he's like, pulls it up, and he can watch Spock. And she said, "I could press this button,"
oh
and
yeah.
he dies.
Yeah.
And then later on, they used it and they killed all Sulu's men and stuff.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That goes deep, man.
Why
That
couldn't we? Come on, man. The ISS Enterprise, nobody gonna go just happen to be like, "Hey, I found this mirror, Michael. I wonder what it does." Oh, crap.
One more thing before we move on for people that we would like to see again. We don't need to forget about Bryce. We haven't seen him in quite a while, or if not at all in the season.
we
Yeah.
saw him on um the
Other
time
world
book
episode. Yeah,
Yes.
episode.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, which was cool.
Yes. He's actually getting quite a bit of work. Good for him.
Good for
Yeah.
Because
him.
he's
If
got
the
another
actor is
movie, I
getting more,
think,
yeah,
coming on Lifetime, I think.
good. Good
And
for him then.
I've seen a Reese actor on another Paramount Plus show, so he's getting some acting jobs too. So that's pretty cool. I
And
want
there
to see
was a
all these.
I'm
Go ahead.
sorry, there's a request in the chat to mention the Quajon route that we didn't bring that
Oh,
up.
yeah, that's true. That was sweet.
Oh yeah, that's P. Lewis saying that. I may have missed it, but did you talk about the book getting a piece of his world from the root from Hyrule? Yeah, that was cool, man. It just goes back to sort of like the doctor. The book is alone. The last survivor, the last Quajon survivor, and yeah, that was pretty cool to have a piece of his planet preserved now that it's all destroyed. It goes back to the justification for Book actually going on a tirade in the previous season. He was a little bit justified, wanting to
Yeah.
to get revenge.
I apologize. We didn't get to that because that was a really emotional moment.
Yeah,
I was very emotional in that moment that he was like, "Look at this. This is," and what we were saying about the librarian before. She was so kind and so. Thank you. That was a great moment. That was a
yeah.
great moment.
Hyrule was the ultimate kill them with kindness character because
Mhm.
even when the Breen are knocking at her doorstep, she's just all happy about it. Oh, we have tactics.
I will say they did not do what I thought they were gonna do. I thought like the Bring were gonna try to be big, and I thought they had technology that could just put them down,
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
but it wasn't that. So
Uh, Tasha mentions that in canon, and I don't know. I know not in the show that I know of, but help me out here in the beta canon. Larry, was Mirror Spock assassinated?
yep,
Ooh.
he took over the empire, and he took what's her name as his wife, the lady from that episode.
Uh huh.
I'll forget her name, but yeah, he took her as his wife. He started all kind of new reforms and everything, and he knew the empire would fall. And yes, he was actually executed. He and his wife.
But Winggrace is saying that he faked his death. Uh, is that part of the same story or same book
I
or?
have no idea about that. I'm going on the Shattered Empire storyline where he and his wife were executed, and he kind of became a martyr for change.
Multiversal theory.
Well, that by the time he knew all that stuff with O'Brien's people like where the Terrans were enslaved was gonna happen,
Mm.
but it was the only way to kill the Terran Empire.
I mean, Wingray says that he's going to regrow the planet. Speaking of book and his root, like the Doctor can regrow the TARDIS. So great analogy.
Can
Yeah.
he?
There was a cut scene from Journey's End where the doctor gives Rose and the Metacrisis doctor a root that would grow their own TARDIS, but that was cut for time.
Mm. I
Oh,
didn't even know that, man. So,
Deep cut.
that
uh,
is a deep cut.
and also Wingray saying This one is from a series of Mirror Universe short stories where they revealed he was alive after DS9 era and was in hiding. It may have been an alternative take or alternate take. Cool, man. You guys are coming with the beta knowledge here. Loving it. Loving it.
And it's all beta now, and it's all different writers. So a bunch of times it don't even match up at all, but they're good stories regardless.
With that, I'm gonna ask everyone that is in the chat right now, go ahead and drop your ratings on a 5 point scale. And as you drop your ratings, I'm gonna go around the horn and see what everyone on the panel thinks of this episode. And Mr. Jones, I'm going to start with you. How would you rate this episode, sir?
All right, I'm going to come with you to the very first thing that came to my head. I am going to give this 4.2 Michael Burnhams in a library out of 5.
4.2. Awesome sauce. 4.2 from Kyle Jones. Larry, what do you think, man?
I'm gonna go higher. I am gonna give it 4.5 Quajon Roots.
Oh man, you took mine. I'm going to give this one, I think I'm going to be there right with you. I'm going to give this 4.5 um, flamethrowers on the bridge of discovery out of 5.
That was a hot take.
Oh, I see what you did
Yeah,
there.
nice, nicely done, sir. Like
Thank you, sir.
nicely done.
Cal, will you pick up some of the
I
ratings from the
certainly
chat real
will.
quick for me,
Retney
sir?
says 4 out of 5. P. Lewis says 5 out of 5. The original C. Neil AZ says, I love libraries, so 4.5. Tasha from After the Snap says 4.25 out of 5 buckets of never ending sand.
Ooh.
And Johnny Fitzhugh says 4.3. And rounding it off with Wind Grace with 4.25 episodes, Reese was useful this season out of 5.
Oh
Brilliant.
man. Yeah, thank you all for the ratings. Those were amazing. Oh man. And with that, guys, we're gonna wrap up. Man, just a few episodes left. I'm getting kind of sad if I'm being honest here. Getting a little bit sad.
We've got 2 left, right?
Well, yeah.
3?
Wow, just two?
2,
Yeah.
right? This was the 7th.
Yeah.
No,
Well, this is
7th,
the eighth.
8th, 9th, and 10th. So 2
Jeez.
more.
And an addendum.
And an
So
Yeah.
addendum.
See, you guys, I wish I'd known you guys before when this show first came out. Because y'all know, right here in this living room, and I had a friend who was actually staying with me at the time. He's disabled, staying with me and my wife. And I know there were times when Discovery came on and I was freaking out. And he was probably like, what in the world?
What is wrong with this guy?
Oh, and when they had the last episode of season 1 and they rolled out the big boy, the big
uh,
girl rolled
uh,
out. Oh, yeah, I lost it.
oh man.
Completely. I said, they better not do it. And I saw 17 and I went, oh, crap, they're doing it. So I'm sad. I'm sad. I've really been loving Discovery. I've had all my gripes and my disagreements, but I'm going to miss Discovery personally.
Indeed, man. 2 more episodes. This is a show that started off our podcast, and of course, we're going to be a little bit sad to see it go. But alas, hopefully, there's more Trek coming. So yeah, I'll just say to each and every one of you in the chat, thank you guys for being here. As always, it's been a lot of fun. If you're into Doctor Who, make sure you stay locked into the Discussing Network YouTube channel, where we'll be going live talking about the latest episode of Doctor Who, Boom, which, in my opinion, I know spoilers here, but I think they're back on track. But with that, guys, we're going to wrap up. And until next